Images in websites can be quite a daunting task, and if you don't know much about images, they can be quite a headache. I've made plenty mistakes, especially at the beginning, because I came from a photography background where every megapixel count or every pixel count. And what I did is I wanted to import these high resolution images onto my website, and I thought the more resolution, the bigger the file size, the better. So I ended up with a homepage of 18 megapixels. You can imagine I was sitting there for almost a minute waiting for the site to load. I blamed the host, I blamed WordPress, and in the end somebody told me, hey dude, you've got one image on your site that's 6 megapixels big. So 6 megabytes big. Let's look at how I prepare my images beforehand. And I know you can get a lot of optimization done with plugins, but I will also recommend that you go beforehand and you work with your images. So I'm going to show you quickly my workflow just for a few of the images that we've used in the Flower Shop landing page. And that may give you an idea of how you can get your images ready before you start building on your site. I'm going to show you the workflow that I go through in preparing a hero image for my site beforehand. What I mean beforehand, that's before I use anything like short pixel or image optimization plugins to make sure that the images are optimized. I like to super optimize them before I go into my site. You can use any kind of photo or graphic editing software to achieve this. I'm going to show you one which I really find very useful, and I'll leave a link for you in the description below. It is an affiliate link, and I hope to show you some more tutorials in the future called Topaz Studio. And this is Studio 2, just came out recently, still very, very new. What I need to do with images to make them look interesting, I can do within this one, and I don't need to go into Photoshop, even though I use Photoshop quite a lot. You see here at the bottom, I've got Photoshop, and which one is this now again? Oh yes, Photolab, Luminar, On1 Raw, etc. Let's grab the photo that I had used for my hero image at the beginning, at the top of the page, and I'm going to drag and drop it here. That's all I have to do, and it opens this image. The first thing I want to show you when you work with these photos that you download is that they are extremely large. I'm going to press Ctrl R, Command R on my keyboard, and that will bring up the resize image. Now I'm not going to resize it, I just want to show you how big this image is. A width of 6200 plus pixels, and then the height at 4100 plus. That is way too big, and it's going to deliver a massive image. But before I resize it, I want to go through the process that I usually use. Number one, I design or I do a grid layout, a mock-up for my site before the time. Very roughly, I don't use special stuff. I just do it on a piece of paper because I do it for myself. If you do it for a client, you may need to do mock-ups, and I mean professional looking mock-ups. Then I try to have an idea. Do I want this image to be full height, or do I need it to be a little bit narrower from top to bottom? And in this case, I decided I want to go for that. That means that I'm going to crop the photo to an aspect ratio of 16:9, which is our typical HD resolution. Go here to the bottom to crop, and then up here you will see aspect ratio. Click on the drop down, and I have one there, 16:9. And it will give me the area, and then I can just move the image around. I can reduce it if I want to, but I'm going to keep it like that. And I want to have as much of the tulips within my image. Once I've decided on this, I just click here on the check. Next thing that I will do is that I'm going to resize it. So Control Command R for the software, and I will keep the aspect ratio locked. And because I just want to make sure I can get the highest and the best image as possible, but still optimize it, I'm going to give it 1920 pixels. And you will see we get our typical HD resolution. And I click on resize. I'll just go up here to the top to say fit. If you want to see how it will look at 100%, you click here 100%, and that is your image at 1920 HD resolution. But I want to see the full image in my workspace, so I click here on fit. So step one, always aspect ratio, which means you have to crop it perhaps. And then step two is to resize it. Step 3 will be to save it into a JPEG or a PNG and adjust the quality is step 4. But before I get to step 3 and 4, one of the things I like to do within this software is I go to the filters they have over here. I click on add filter and I choose this one called AI Clear. You know, everything is AI nowadays. Did you see how that changed? I'm going to just click here and show you the before and after. I just like to clean up things a little bit, and that's why I like to use that AI Clear. Now I'm going to export this image to JPEG. Because it's got a full background like this, you do not go with PNG, you go with JPEG. That is Control E or Command E, or you can simply go up here to export and click on that. File format is currently set to PNG, so I'm going to select JPEG here. And then that is step 3, right? File format is step 3. Step 4 is quality. You do not need a quality of 10. I usually go down to 6, even 4. And then I'm going to say export. As simple as that. Let's go into our Explorer and we find the one that we just worked on over here. And you will see it is at 308 kilobyte. A tad too large still. If I click on it, you can see the image still in good quality. So let's go back into Topaz Studio 2. We click on export again, and this time I'm going to reduce my quality to 4. Say export. Do you want to overwrite it? Yeah, sure. Let's go see. It's now at 210. Look at the quality. It still looks good. And if you want to, you can go even lower. Export, and let's take it down to 2. Yes. And now we are at 159. View it. And for what it is, I think you can even go as low as a quality of 2. So that's the 4-step process that I go through when I work with an image, especially a hero image. Step 1, and that is determine the aspect ratio. There are quite a number, and in upcoming tutorials, I will show you the decisions I make. I'm not going to make a full tutorial here on images, but just show you a typical workflow. Number 2 is set your resolution, which means is it going to be an entire image over your page at 1920 pixels, or you're just going to use a very small thumbnail at 300 pixels or 150 pixels. Then after that, you choose the type. Is it a PNG or a JPEG? And if you choose JPEG, step 4 is what is the quality. And that's a trial and error. So you can see just by choosing that, I already go into my site with an image, a very big image at 159 kilobyte. Now, if I run it through optimization, I get double the pleasure. Strange thing though, sometimes I bring in an image at 159 kilobytes, and after it runs through those image optimization plugins, it comes out larger. That does happen. Good. So I hope that gave you an idea. Go check out Topaz Studio 2 if you're interested in this. I will show a lot more in the future how I use this software, because there are some really nifty stuff in here that I use often to make websites a little bit more interesting.